Hey everyone, I'm here with Melissa Camelierri of Compliment Jewelry, and I'm so excited to be talking to Melissa again, but for a different reason this time, about her experience taking Marie Forleo's Bschool. So to begin with, Melissa, I just want to thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's
Yay.
fun.
So can you tell me a little bit about your business and
Sure.
just anything you want to share with the audience about your
Sure.
life?
So I am the founder and creative director of Compliment, where I hand make jewelry and stationery and what I say gifts for the spirit.
Right.
So every piece of my jewelry comes with an affirmation, a compliment inside the box for the recipient. So it's great for giving for gifts and also to women who are looking to, compliment themselves, to
Right.
love themselves for some intrinsic value that they offer to the world. So, and then I also have a scholarship program for local girls in my community because I used to be a teacher. So I really wanted to impact my community still in that way, but, outside of the classroom.
That's so amazing. I love the, not only sort of the marketing behind your brand, but like everything you've done to really give back. I think it's like so impressive.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about your business before you took Marie Forleo's Bschool.
Sure. Okay. So before
Yeah.
Bschool, I was a full-time teacher,
Yeah.
and I did jewelry on the side, and I totally saw myself as an educator with this hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it was bringing in a little bit of money, a trickle here and there, was just a bonus.
Yeah.
And I sort of had an idea loosely of who my customer was, and I sort of had an idea loosely of how I was going to do my marketing. But it was totally inconsistent, and, obviously the bottom line showed that.
Right.
So I found out about Bschool through the Flourish and Thrive Academy for Jewelry Designers, and taking Flourish and Thrive was a leap, at first, because I was like, okay, well, I'm really going to invest in my business, and we're going to see where it goes. And then doing Bschool, when I found out about that, I'm like, okay, well, this is a really big leap. So,
Yeah.
But something inside me just said, go for it. Like, you need to do this if you're ever, going to get to the next step, which you want to do. And I was really afraid of that voice inside of me at first, to think, who do you think you are? You're a teacher. You're not a designer. You're not a business owner. You were an English major. Like, you know nothing about business. And, but I just felt like something was pulling me in that direction. So I took a leap. And that's where I was before.
Right. How quickly we learn, and how important it was for you, just watching you grow over the last year, that you did listen to your gut intuition, because like that's so important.
Yeah. And actually that, I want to talk about that, because I feel like when you say, well, I really had to listen to my gut, or I really felt, something pulling inside of me, when you talk about like your intuition and with the typical business person, it's like, you cuckoo hippie, like what? Go crunch some more granola. You don't know what you're talking about. But the thing I really loved about Bschool immediately was the community that I had of like-minded business people, and it didn't matter if they were doing jewelry like me, but it was a non-competition zone where people were just really soulful and wanting the success for the greater good of all. Because when, the tide rises, all the ships rise, or however that goes. So it felt really good to be enveloped in that community.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like a huge community of intuitive business owners. It's like awesome that you said that, because I feel that I'm the same kind of person. So
yeah,
obviously.
And there's not a lot of people out there that you would meet if it weren't for a community like this, because I've done had coffee dates and networking with people in my community, a million different times. And then afterwards I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel right. I don't know what's wrong, but it just doesn't feel right. And I don't get that feeling in the Bschool community. It's like everybody's there kind of with the same sort of helpful, soulful mentality.
Amazing. I love that you said that, because that's exactly how I feel. So tell me a little bit specifically about how your business changed, and then I'm going to ask you even more specifically about how it impacted your jewelry business.
Sure.
So tell me what your life and business is like now.
Okay. So my business now, I have an office. in a jewelry studio, which that was the biggest leap of last year. I took my business from my dining room table, which was about 120 square feet, if that, not even, like maybe 80 square feet, to a 700 square foot office, which is so great because I have the physical space to continue to grow. And I totally owe that to Bschool because through that community, I met a really close friend of mine who's in a totally different industry. She's a holistic health coach, and she was ready to make a leap into a bigger space too. So we share this space, and it's like a co-working environment, but with somebody who is also trying to market and somebody who's also trying to get the word out about her brand. And it's completely no competition. I utilize her services. She utilizes my services. And we have this like really beautiful, harmonious, working friendship. It's just, I could never have gotten that without Bschool. So a little bit more about where I am now. I have taken my marketing completely to the next level, mindfully about what I'm posting, how consistently I'm posting. I blog now. I have my community of followers has grown exponentially. Before Bschool, I think I had maybe 80 subscribers to my email list of like friends and family, who I'm like, please sign up.
Please, I know 80 people. Can you please get on my list?
Exactly. Like, I'm just begging people on my Facebook from like elementary school and high school, like, please sign up. And now I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers.
That's great.
Which is
That's huge.
Yeah, a huge increase in 1 year. And without like
that is huge.
I know. It's incredible.
That's like 900% growth plus.
I know.
900%.
But that came directly from list building, the module in Bschool, which is about list building. That one really resonated with me because, I belong to a couple communities of product-based businesses that, are saying this is all great information, but when you're selling a physical product, you can't give a whole bunch of stuff away. And that's not true. You can give away a ton of information and storytelling and community, and people want to be a part of something. And so to think of my list building as a way of creating a community of my people.
Right.
So they important. Don't all buy jewelry from me. They might not be ready to buy yet, but eventually they will because they like the brand. And so Bschool really helped me with creating a full story around my brand. And I'm just super grateful.
And I have to say one thing that is really amazing, and I talked about like watching you grow out over this past year, is like how your brand is developed. I mean, your marketing is so good.
Thank you.
Your posts, like your branding, like everything you're doing to like package your products. And I feel like, hopefully we had an impact at Flourish and Thrive, but I really saw a difference after you took Bschool of like how much I was seeing your work out there and stuff like that. Like now it's like I see it everywhere, and like you have a great big followings in a lot of different types of places, like on social media, and as well as your list, which is the most important, obviously. But it's been great.
Thank you. Thanks so much for noticing. Because sometimes you put stuff out there and you're like, crickets. Like, is anybody gonna bite this or whatever? And so to hear feedback is always really great. And that's another reason why, any online community is fantastic, because people are there to be your little cheerleaders. When you're there by yourself and you're wondering like, man, did I make a huge mistake by leaving my full-time job with benefits and, all those things? There's a huge group that's there to be like, no, you can do this. Like, your idea is good. You just need to keep on pushing it forward. That's like invaluable to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, like, when did you decide to take the leap to quit your full-time job? Was it post like all this education that you did, or what was sort of the incentive for that?
So to get a little bit personal, I had just gone through a divorce, and I lost 3 people in my family in a matter of 90 days. So
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, thank you.
Rough year.
It was 2012 sucked, like really bad. I was under a huge, heavy blanket of grief, and I've always kind of leaned toward spirituality and self-help and things like that. And I knew that I had a huge creative force inside of me, that depression is like the antithesis of creativity, you know, like to really combat depression, I had to create. And I wasn't feeling that anymore in teaching. It was too hard for me to be present to my students when I didn't have enough in my own tank. And so I just started, you know, doing this jewelry, like put my head into it. It was a great distraction. And then I started doing Flourish and Thrive and gained a little bit more confidence. And then I started doing Bschool and gained a little bit more confidence. I took a leave of absence at first from my job, just to kind of get my head back in the game, you know, to figure out what the heck am I going to do? Yeah. But once I had done all of this education, I got rid of a bunch of the heaviness that was weighing me down. And that little glimmer of confidence came back that I've always had in me. And that creativity kind of started sparking again. And I had all these ideas. And I even, like, during Bschool, I created a whole separate business beside my jewelry business too. And that's not going anywhere yet, but it was like all these ideas were percolating, you know, and I really felt like it's what lifted me out of the fog. And so it was in May of last year, which is, you know, maybe 2 months or so, 3 months after I had completed Flourish and Thrive in Bschool, where I decided I can do this. I can really do this. And so I'm doing it. Like it was terrifying. And when I put the word out there that I was quitting my job as a teacher, there was a lot of backlash from, not a lot, but a fair amount of backlash from people in that community who were like, well, who are you if you're not a teacher?
You're like,
and I had to answer that question for myself. Yeah, I know, but it's so weird when you're so stuck in a box. And
I know.
I think there's a lot of people going through that same kind of transition. Like, you're at a crossroads in your life. You got to figure out, what the hell am I going to do to really be happy with me, with my community, with, you know, how I'm showing up in the world. And I knew I could do that through my creating and my marketing and my branding of Compliment, and Bschool kind of just led me there. So that was a really long answer.
No, I mean, thank you so much for sharing that personal story, because I think a lot of people are really in transition. And quite honestly, like, when I came to Bschool, I was like in a similar place. Not, you know, I'm not going to relate losing a business to having deaths in my family and divorce, but felt
lots just the same. Yeah, and there's grief just the same.
Right. And I just felt at a rock bottom in my life. Yeah. And, you know, I was in this huge state of transition and was trying to, like, reinvent myself and didn't know what I wanted. And by taking Bschool, I had all this creativity spawned again and new ideas and huge results just within like 18 months. So, you know, I think everyone, I mean, sooner than 18 months, but like immediate results, but like big results within 18 months. So like, I think that, you know, it's important that you share that, because I feel like a lot of people can identify with your story. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So Melissa, you mentioned that you, back in May, after you took Bschool for the first time, quit your day job. So I'm curious to know how your business is doing now as far as profitability and sustainability and actually employing yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So this is really exciting. But when I first did Bschool and I first decided to quit my day job, there was a lot of fear in that. There was so much, you know, it was so terrifying. And so I remember looking up online all of the part-time teaching jobs that I could, like one whole day, because I was so afraid of, you know, stepping out into this unknown. But literally that day I meditated and I thought, okay, I'm like in such a ball of fear. I need to, you know, calm myself down. The second I was done with my meditation, I had opened my computer and I had an email that said that I had my biggest order that I've had in my business. And it was huge, a huge order that I started crying because I couldn't believe like how miraculous like the timing was with that.
Amazing.
And I think back to that moment whenever I start feeling afraid. So, you know, about a month later was Mother's Day. And during Mother's Day, I had sold 500 times what I had done at Christmas the year before. And Christmas, supposedly is your biggest holiday. Yes. And my Mother's Day blew that out of the water in a huge, major way. And then this last Christmas of 2013 beat that even.
That's amazing.
It is I feel so grateful and so lucky. Every time I come into my office, I'm like, I can't believe this is my job. This is so great.
So awesome.
And so much of it has to do with me taking myself seriously, I think. When people ask me what I do, I can now say, I design a line of jewelry. And you get those looks sometimes that it's like, okay. And what else do you do? Yeah. And it's,
I still get that after 20 years.
There's a pervasive feeling among the general population that creatively you do things for a hobby and you have to hate your job. And I don't. I love my job. This is the best thing that could have happened in my life. And it's been such a spiritual journey for me owning my own business, because it really kicks up all of your own fears and all of your own trepidations about life or how you show up or whatever. And it's just, I don't know, like The Divine Compensation, read it. Like if you haven't read it yet.
So I want to ask you one more question about this. You don't have to go into specifics, but you mentioned earlier offline something about a paycheck. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I finally started paying myself this year. Obviously, I had to because I quit my job. But the first time I did that, it was when I was on a leave of absence from teaching, and I took my first personal draw from my business of $1,000. Awesome. And I sat there and I was just like, whoa, like I just really made money from this. This is so great. And, I've been given the confidence to elevate my brand, to raise my prices to where they're still affordable.
Right.
But I'm paying myself, what my time is worth now too. And what people are valuing my product for. And I didn't really get it all. It didn't all make sense to me until I had done all of the training, both Flourish and Thrive and Bschool combined.
Awesome. That's amazing. I love hearing that. I always love hearing people cutting themselves a paycheck. It's like really important.
It's huge.
It means you have a business. Would you recommend Bschool to other jewelry designers? And if so, why?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it really got me clear on the story behind my brand. And I think for a jewelry business or any product-based business, people really buy why you're doing something as opposed to what it is. So jewelry, we all know it's a very saturated market. If you are selling shoes or purses or whatever it is, there's probably a lot of things on the market similar to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's okay because there's enough for everybody.
Right.
But I feel like Bschool really helps you get clear on who you are as a business owner, who you are as a CEO of your brand, and how to really, get behind your brand and push it out into the world, especially online, to have a really strong online presence, and how to do that, step by step, how to do that, which is so overwhelming if you don't have a guide.
Yeah, awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we finish up here?
Yes, Bschool helped me also to think of ways I could create a community around me, because online communities are fantastic and I've learned so much. And for example, my lawyer, who's helping me become a corporation this year, which is like in the next month or so, I found her in the Bschool community. Awesome. Because I was thinking, I really want to work with a lawyer because I can't navigate that legal stuff. I don't have time for that. Like, it's just too.
So Melissa, thank you so much for being here again. It's been so great listening to you and hearing your story of how you've grown over the last year. And I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you so much. You have been a tremendous help to me. You have no idea. Like, just getting me on the right track and the right path. And I totally owe so much of this to your guidance. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Well, thank you so much for that too.